Mayor, whenever you're ready, it's 6 o'clock.
Okay, it's 6 o'clock. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Would you join me with the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Get a roll call, please.
Mayor Rao,
Here.
Councilman Rao,
Present.
Councilman Hunter,
Here.
Councilman LaVerie,
Here.
and Councilman Fitzsimons is coaching a basketball game tonight, so he won't be here.
Okay, got a couple of changes on the agenda tonight. On the consent agenda, item B, we don't have the minutes to approve, so we're going to scratch that. And through item B on the regular agenda,
Number 4, yep.
yeah, on number 4, we're going to scratch that. Those presentations will probably be in January.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Are we in compliance with our open meeting law?
Yes.
Public comment. Do we have any public comment? Nobody online wants to comment? Okay. We'll move on to the consent agenda.
Move for approval of the consent agenda.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor?
That is with the
Right.
minutes taken off of it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right. Approve or deny extension of lease for the old fire station to Josh Jones for 6 months.
Okay, I want to make a few comments on that. We met with Josh Jones a couple weeks ago, and we approved that on the council agenda to extend him for this time period to get him to catch up on the rent that he was in arrears on. And when we originally approved this, him renting this location at a cheap rate of $200 a month, it was in order to keep a business operating and functional. And that business has since went under and is no longer an active business. And so Mr. Jones is just essentially using this as a storage facility and is no longer doing work out of there and using it functionally. And so I think we need to consider the use and the troubles we've had with keeping that building and keeping the rent paid. And so I think we need to consider that this 6-month lease, if it does happen, that we at least make it clear that this is the very last extension that we plan to give to this building. But I don't think, and I think if we do extend it, I think that the price needs to be reflected to a current market price instead of such a cheap rate, since the terms aren't to keep a business in business anymore. We're here to support that, and so.
Okay.
If we approve this lease, which I am for approving it, but it got to be kept up to date on the payments. First time they go delinquent, then he gets an eviction notice.
I also want to point out that one of the things that we looked at is we moved an old fire truck that was the original City of Caledonia fire truck. We moved it that was being protected in this building. We moved it out of this building and it's now currently sitting outside. We don't have a place to store it any longer that's out of the weather. And so it has been deteriorating in this amount of time. And I would like to see something done with that. And I think that this building, it's a fire station, put that old, at least it's protected in this building. And so to me, I think that it's valuable to protect that resource.
I voted no against it the first time, but how much is he paying? 200 a month?
200 a month.
And then did he catch it all up?
He did catch everything up.
Yeah, he's caught up through November, so I told him to hold off. His lease agreement is original agreement, which is long since over.
Right.
Was for the payment to be due on the first of the month, but where that was today, and we didn't have an approved extension or anything, I told him to hold off until after tonight to know where we go.
Would this one just be 200 again then, or?
No, I think it needs to go up. I think it needs to be a fair market value instead of keeping it the same $200. And as Josh told us in the last meeting we had with him, he just plans to use this as a hobby garage to do what he wants to do in it. And he says, I've also got way too much stuff that I don't have anywhere to put my stuff, and so this is the best place for me to put it, and at $200 a month, it's worth keeping to do that. And I just don't think that that's a good use of the city resources when we've got a fire truck that's sitting out in the back 40 and deteriorating in my book. I just think that that's a poor decision to take $200 a month, and we're gonna cost more than that to fix up a old fire truck.
Yeah, if we're gonna use it as a storage facility, there's a storage facility right on the corner, less than 100 yards away.
So with that, I'll make a motion that we do not approve this 6-month lease of Josh Jones at the fire hall
At the current rate.
at the current rate. I say we do not approve that.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, we have a motion and a second to not approve this 6-month extension, that we bring it back in for negotiations, right?
Yeah, I was gonna ask if, do you want to propose accepting the extension for 6 months at a price? Or is that something you want to consider after the meeting and then circle back on a following meeting? And the question that follows that is, while we're negotiating terms, I guess he's still there, which is, I guess, not really something we can do anything about necessarily. I mean, we could move forward with any legal ramifications if you wanted to, but it seems like just negotiating in good faith with him and trying to come to some agreement, if you don't like continuing at the current rate, would be appropriate.
Was he aware that this was on the agenda tonight?
Yeah, he actually tried to call me right as we started the meeting, so I couldn't answer, but
So he was, I mean, because yeah, I just can't believe that he's actually not here to discuss anything with it.
Can I just, there's a good point there that we need to figure out,
Whether he's to leave,
even if we decide we don't want the lease to continue on, he's got stuff in there that has to be moved out. And I'm sure there's legal time we have to give them to do that. So maybe we should consider a lease at some rate and give him an option of, this is it, or get your stuff out yesterday. I don't know how you guys do that, and we don't have our attorney here, but we have to consider all the stuff that he does have in there and would have to move if we don't
Exactly.
give him a lease.
No, and I would expect that it's not a, hey, you're out tomorrow, it's done, you gotta get all your stuff out. I think we've gotta be fair and give him a good, honest time, and like you said, maybe we extend it for 3 months to give him some time.
As far as that old fire truck goes, the city's initial plans was to have that building appraised and to get rid of it. So we will still not have any place to put that fire truck.
If we got it to the point where it was rolling, could it be taken to the fire station and just pushed in and out when they had activities?
Have to talk to the fire chief.
Not when City Hall's in there, huh?
I didn't agree with it ever being in there, like the current situation there, so.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
this is Peggy Rao, and my suggestion is that you guys table this until your lawyer's there to give you more advice. But you also need to consider the townspeople and how many chances you're going to give other people to make things right, or if you're going to be in business against the people who have storage units, because that's what he's doing, is using a storage unit that's cheaper than what the people charge, the other businesses charge. Those are just things I think you need to look at.
No, I agree with that, and that's kind of what Councilman Hunter said. He said we need to go, if we're gonna lease it, it needs to be in the same area as what it would cost if they rented it from someplace else.
And I think I mean, the main point I was trying to make across is we don't want this to be a long-term lease with him. We want it to be a short-term, and get this done. And I think that we move, so I think for now, since there was a motion and it was seconded, now we're into discussion. We could amend it, I guess,
I mean,
and say,
yeah, you don't necessarily let it die. You call for a vote to deny the action. So you'd be a vote aye would be to deny
Yep.
the action. So there would be no extension at this point. If that makes sense.
At the current rate.
Yeah, we would basically
Yep.
just be we would be denying the item 4A. There would be no agreement, and then we would have to pick that up with him.
Because there currently is no agreement anyways.
Yeah, currently
Right. You're right.
there's no agreement.
There is
It's
none.
not hurting any.
Okay,
I agree with Grant, though.
we have to give some time. I mean,
We're gonna have to give some time, and without legal advice, we don't know whether that's gonna be 60 days or 90 days, which is half of the agreement, in which time we would get nothing. So,
yeah, Franklin's probably given some advice here, because he's been given notice that he needed to vacate previously, and
I'll just keep the discussion going, yeah, even with like my no, but I wouldn't disagree with that, and I've never been in there, I imagine it's probably crammed full of things, but.
As I recall that original agreement, there was some stipulations in there about what happens to it if he doesn't continue with it. So, and I believe that's probably where our trade went to the original agreement out. So I'm sure there's some stipulations in there about it.
So Franklin just said that if you want to go the route of not extending a lease at all and you just want him out, he can serve him with a 15-day notice that he has to be out. So that's it.
but we could extend that and say he's got 60
Yeah.
days. We could make a stipulation and give him some time, because he did make that clear when he met with us, that it would take a good period of time, over a month, to get all of his stuff moved out of that facility. He said that it would take, he said, I don't think I could get it done in a month, to get everything moved out. That's what he previously told us. He said, if you guys want me out in 30 days, it would be really hard for me to get everything moved out of there. So I think we've got to be realistic and set a little longer period than 30 days. and be
Whatever
fair.
you give him, we won't be getting paid for it. With a motion like that.
Well, we don't have an agreement at all now.
And if we,
And I think in fairness to him, I mean, you can take it however you want, but he was paying up to current without an agreement through now, I think in good faith as well, in hopes that he would be able to have time. The 6 month was kind of a potential that we had discussed, and he was hoping to have that time at $200 to get out. Now,
Even if you did like a 3 month, kind of like what Tom's saying though, but if you did 3 months, then
Yeah.
we probably, does he stay in there the 3 months, then we're back in the same situation kind of as now though, then maybe we don't get anything again after 3 months for the
well, I
30,
think,
60 days it takes him to get out. You know,
I
that's the
think,
kinda-
so in talking to Franklin about that too, so basically what you could do is, approve an agreement for 3 months at the current rate, or whatever rate you want to say. And included in that would be that if there's a default, we just serve the 15-day notice and we take the property if it's not out of there.
He's on the meeting schedule now.
Okay, we've had a motion and a second to deny this. Let's continue this, and then if we want to come back to it, we can. So, we have a motion and a second to deny, how is it listed here? Deny the extension of the lease for the old fire station.
Let me just ask you a question, Mayor, before we finish the item and vote on it, would you prefer to hear from Josh and decide if we want to let that motion die and redo a
Well,
motion?
we've already
or-
got a second on it.
Got a second on it.
That's what I was saying. We already have a second, so we have to vote on it now.
Right.
So,
Yep.
we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. What is it? The extension lease from the fire stations has been denied.
For 6 months.
Nah, denied completely. It's denied.
May I ask something though, but like, there is really no lease though.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
Kind of null and void in a way.
Okay, do you have something to say, Mr. Hunter?
we've got Josh, are we gonna revisit this and hear from Mr. Jones, or?
Josh, I don't know if you're on or if you can hear.
He's off now. Oh, no, he is. He's back on, different spot. Are you there, Josh?
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Okay, I just barely got on.
So Josh, there was quite a bit of discussion about the potential extension of the lease. Ultimately, it was voted on to deny the extension of the lease for the 6 month period, but we discussed potentially coming to terms on a shorter extension. There was discussion about a fair value lease where the price would be more fair value as opposed to what was agreed upon 2 years ago. So that's kind of the discussion.
So what happened to the whole agreement that we would do it for 6 months if I caught up on the lease, which I did?
Yeah, so we discussed that, like I told you on the phone several days ago, the agreement was that we would be able to take it to council, because we can't make an agreement, the city council, one individual can't make an agreement with you on the city's behalf by themselves, so it has to come before the council, and that's where the discussion took place.
So then basically saying that, talking to the 2 city council members that I did and agreeing that, hey, if you get caught up by the end of November, which again I did, that we would be able to extend it for 6 months to give me the option to figure something else out, just was basically nothing.
It's a fair question, Josh.
Because I mean, that's what happened. That was the agreement. I made sure to make right on it. I did. I, pulled $2,600 out of thin air. And I mean, that's kind of, you know what I mean? I understand that it was at a meeting that we did outside of council, but that's what I was told we needed to do. So, I actually just spent the better part of the end of last weekend after working for 8 hours over there on my own time with a skid steer, clearing all the mud out from in front of it. So, I mean, I just don't understand why we came to the agreement that we did. And now we're basically saying that it's denied.
Yeah, I mean, the short answer, and I mean, we discussed this a little bit, but the short answer to that is simply that every one of those decisions has to be approved by the majority of the city council before it's effective. And
Well, and I understand that, but
Yeah.
like I said, we came to an agreement with 2 of the city council members that we would approve the fact that it would be extended for 6 months. That was the agreement. That's why I came in and paid my lease up in full before the end of the month.
right,
I mean, Grant was there, Tommy was there, Jamin was there. That was the agreement. When we got up and left that meeting, that was the agreement.
May I?
Yes.
Josh, I just, this is Joe Laveri. Looking at this, my kind of no vote is what I was saying a second ago. There's not a current agreement on paper even to vote on tonight. So I'm kind of looking at it like being kind of, I guess, out of the loop on the closed door meeting. But I mean, I was open to this coming back with when we actually have the lease agreement coming back again, but
So
I'm kind of looking at it tonight, like I don't even know what I'm voting on, basically. There is no agreement, there's no piece of paper in front of me, no nothing, so I just giving you that's where I was coming from with it.
So, Josh, this is Jamin,
Yeah.
going over things. What we're looking at is essentially what we're trying to say, I think, in a general consensus is we don't want this to extend on for a very long period of time and to make this a permanent tenancy of this. And so 6 months was longer than we were willing to extend this lease. That was longer.
So what are we doing with the building? Because I mean, what's the difference between me leasing it and somebody else if I'm paying my lease?
The rate is a very minimal rate right now
I
at
understand
$200.
that, but that's
And-
regardless of the point. What is the difference between me doing that and then somebody else?
Somebody
If
else
you
would
have a
pay
tenant,
more
you're
money.
independent, correct?
well,
Oh, yeah, I'm not against that either. I was not against revisiting that in 6 months. Now, my thing is now we're saying there's no lease on paper and stuff, but yet I went to you guys and paid up on a lease that didn't exist technically. So does that mean that I get my money refunded back from the lease that wasn't there?
That was a rent in arrears. And
But that's what I'm saying. Like, so I paid up a lease that didn't exist, but I paid it up because that was the agreement. Now you guys are saying you're denying it because there is no lease.
would you be tenable to extending this lease for 2 months? Or,
Okay, so now what is the biggest the building is vacant. It was vacant for a long time before I moved in there. I have done improvements to it. I have tried to keep the place clean. I'm in the process of cleaning up all the flooding that has happened in front of the building on my own time with my new current boss's equipment. And like I don't understand like why I'm making all this right and I'm doing more than I need to technically with the building, and I'm being denied the agreement that we agreed upon.
Mr.
Well,
Mayor.
no, wait a minute, just a second. The original agreement was to give you this extension to get your business built up so that it could be, you could utilize what we have. Well, it cost us a lot of money to fix that building up so that you could even use it. We did
I
that.
understand that.
We did that, And the agreement was to do this so that you can get your business going, and then we renegotiate these fees, okay?
And then, yeah, and we were also going to revisit it in a year, which we did not.
That's exactly right.
Yep. And so
So-
I'm not trying to play that card, but whose fault is it that it wasn't revisited in a year?
It is yours.
And how is that only solely my fault?
Because you signed the agreement that within 1 year, that was the terms of the lease. At that time, it is terminated, and we could have exercised our right to evict you at that moment, and we did not. But it is your responsibility when you sign a lease to know the terms of those lease and to abide by them.
Okay, so then we were supposed to revisit it, correct?
I believe that the motion has been made and it's clear, and if we were trying to talk and get some terms to win, would be fair to make a movement. What
Well,
is the
I'm
minimum?
I'm willing to talk about different terms and stuff, but like I said, my understanding was that we had agreed that it would be extended after the meeting that we had. I went and hustled the balance that was due and paid it on time like I was told to do. Now, the only other part of the agreement that there was that my lease would be extended for 6 months so I could find a place to either move to or move all my equipment to. And now I'm being told that it's denied.
So Josh, just really quick, I think that it's important, and I know you know this because we discussed it, but the amount was due whether we told you it was due or not, because it was agreed upon. And then when the lease goes month to month without any additional terms, just by default, that's still an obligation that you have unless you vacate that property. But either way, I think ultimately what we want to do is just say, okay, as a council, they voted to deny the extension as it was proposed. So we don't really have an ability to make a different motion today. I think we just need to get together and figure out how we move forward and what your preference would be, depending on what the city council wants to do with that property, if that makes sense.
So now I apologize. My kids are with me right now. Now what's the problem with doing like a 2 or 3 month thing? My big thing is I have to figure out where I'm going to put things. Like I literally spent like a 2 or 3 hour conversation on the phone with the gentleman that I have his wagon of right now that I'm finishing up. And I basically told him, like, you need to pay up the remainder of your bill so that I don't lose this space.
Right.
And
Well,
so he did that.
And Josh, with all due respect, that's not the city council's problem.
I
As-
understand. I understand that. But
Yeah.
like I said, so what's the problem with extending it out for 3 months?
That would have to be negotiated.
I think we just need to get together, and we can do it at the next city council meeting if you'd prefer to do it in public meeting. We just need to put it on the agenda as such so that we can make that action possible. So we can do that on the 15th if you'd like.
Okay, so what's the current situation for me right now? Like, cause all of my stuff's still in there. I wasn't planning on moving it because like I said, the last agreement was that we were going to extend it as long as I got my lease paid in full. So what's the standing now?
We're not gonna throw you out tomorrow, Josh. We need, if you want, you need to come in. At the next meeting, we'll put this on the agenda. We'll come in and discuss the negotiations on the extension
And if you
what
can-
what the payment will be.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's go ahead and get this set up right now for right now, just to get an idea of it kind of thing. What is a fair time and what is a fair price that you guys feel? Just off the top.
That's gonna have to be discussed when we put it on
Okay.
the agenda.
You know, I apologize, but you know, it's really kind of a shame that that we all had come to, and at least two of us had come to an agreement, and I made right on that agreement, and now it's just being denied for various reasons. That's kind of a shame, guys.
The city held up their end of the bargain.
And so did I. I paid my lease. I did. And you know what? I apologize that I was going through a lot of stuff in my personal life and got behind on it. But You know what I mean? I had a lot going on. You know, as you guys are very well aware.
So what I'll do,
So-
Josh, is I'll put it on, if that's what you'd prefer, I'll put it on the agenda and we can discuss it and come to terms at our December 15th meeting.
I mean, I guess, I mean, unless, is there some other way to discuss it and get together for it? Or because, I mean, apparently doing a meeting that's
That
not
doesn't
within
work.
city council is not the correct way, apparently.
Well, it certainly can be. It's just the way that it went down with the vote. So
Yeah,
if we want to do it in public meeting, we can do that on the 15th.
you know what I mean? Whatever,
And if you'll
Whatever
be
is
there, if you'll
preferable.
be there at the start of the item, then you can make sure that your voice is heard before any vote is taken, which will be helpful.
well, yeah, unfortunately, I tried to send you a text. Unfortunately, my wife got stuck at work.
Yeah.
And so I've got both my kids here with me and I couldn't get over there.
Yeah, no, I
So
understand.
yeah, I wanted to be there. I unfortunately kind of figured something like this was gonna happen, especially if I wasn't there. So
We'll put it on
that's
the
really-
15th and we can go from there.
that's really a bummer. But all right, guys, I guess we'll revisit it.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Item C, approve or deny purchase of a new public works vehicle.
So I gave you guys all the paper for the purchase of the new pickup, and my plan and way of paying for this is with the garbage truck that just burned down, insurance coverage on that is $175,890. The new garbage truck with shipping, and we haven't accepted the bid yet, but the bid will be about $153,000, leaving almost $23,000 after we get the new garbage truck. I would like to be approved for up to $20,000 to purchase a new vehicle for Public Works to replace my Durango. And I've been looking online at GSA XS. It's used government vehicles. I can pick one up with somewhere between 60 to 80,000 miles on it for about $20,000. A four-wheel drive, extended cab, half-ton pickup.
I would like to have this tabled until we sell these items that you're gonna put on surplus, until we get our garbage truck and then get the money from the insurance. Then we'll have the cash on hand. I'd like to see it tabled until then.
I think what Grant, kind of the way I'm seeing it, I think that what Grant's saying is he'd like to explore this option, and before he makes a purchase and
Yeah.
before he does that, he would then make it. He just wants to kind of keep us aware of what's going on and get approval that he can kind of move this direction and start looking there, so that by the time next seasonal start, we've already got the six-wheel dump truck purchased. He kind of wants to start putting the paperwork together. He just wants to make sure that we're on board with him moving this direction.
What's
It says purchase on the agenda, though. It doesn't say move in that direction.
I wanted to be approved to purchase it because sometimes these things come up on, if it's sold, let's say we had the money for, and I'm totally willing to take that if you guys would approve it tonight after we have purchased the new garbage truck, because it might be between meetings and I would miss a truck because they are only on that GSA website, sometimes a few days, sometimes 2 weeks. And if I don't have your approval, I can't move on them. And that's all.
Do we have a timeline on the payout on the fire truck, on the one that burned up?
I just emailed Barbie yesterday about that, and I did not get a response today, so I don't know.
Well, that should be coming though, right away, isn't it?
Coming, yes, she knows that that's the direction we're going, but I don't know what the timeline on that is. And then, once we actually close, I guess we could put it on next agenda, because we would close the
Garbage truck bid by then.
the garbage truck bid by then, and we would know what the prices are going to be for sure.
Let's do that.
Okay,
to the
and
next
it will
agenda.
take me a while to sell all this stuff, but those would be the minimum bids I would put on stuff, and I think those are more than fair minimum bids, that we would get more than that for those pieces of equipment.
Why do you need a dump truck if you're gonna get rid of one? Does one don't work?
It's in, and I want to
And you
replace
want
it.
but you want a six-wheeler.
I want to replace it with another small 1-ton type dump truck, but
The dump truck he's talking about is that old Chevy pickup that the parks guys use to
Right.
drive around. It's got lots of mechanical problems. And so he wants to get a newer version that doesn't have
Yes.
all the mechanical problems to go with it.
And these prices that you got here on the surplus stuff, you might have half that stuff that won't sell, or maybe 3/4 of it that won't sell at them prices.
I think they're more than fair. I looked at everything and I feel like they're below book on it. The one thing that's already guaranteed is the $17,000. The Power District's already made us that offer for
On-
those 2 trailers.
For the power trailers,
So that's fine if you want me to go through the process and get everything sold. I'll do that first. I just was trying to get pre-approval, so when it's done, I can move forward with it, but
I make a motion, we table this until the next meeting and discuss it then, once we know some more of the details
Okay.
of the thing. So that's my motion, is that we table this.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to table the purchase of this, what is it?
Have you advertised this stuff for sale yet?
no, I have not.
C and D, I presume. we're gonna
Table the public
both.
works vehicle.
Can that be done?
We could get it advertised in the next paper. The 1 4x4 service truck, we've got a welder in it, we've got an air compressor in it, so it would take us some work to get that stuff out of it, but it won't be a problem. And that one's one I'm really comfortable will sell for more than I've got it up for auction at.
We can get that on start listing for that.
Let's just put the one pickup on there, and once everything else is sold, then we'll go from there on that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. What to do,
To table it.
to table this, public works vehicle. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay. Approve or deny purchase of a 6-wheel dump truck for public works. We
Table
all,
that one as well.
Table that one as well.
we need a second or a vote on that?
Table that.
No.
You can choose to do
We
that,
can
Mayor.
table it, yeah.
Okay, then we'll table this till next time we get these other things sold, I guess. Okay. Update concerning ongoing grants administration, city clerk's reports.
Okay, I'm gonna combine both of those. You've got my report in the packet. Just wanted to highlight, I did get a letter from the IRS, so our hearing is scheduled for February 7th. It's a Tuesday at 7 a.m. So we'll be meeting with them and hopefully can come to some terms there through that hearing process. I've been working with Franklin to get kind of all of our ducks in a row and make sure that we've done a lot of the legwork. We can present to them and just lay it all out on the table as to how it happened, where it came from, why some of the payments that we made got allocated to the wrong periods when they should have been, they were correctly paid but allocated to the wrong periods. So that'll be happening on February 7th. And then I guess I kind of skipped the depot, but, or the grant report. So we're gonna be moving from the depot. December 12th is the date that everybody's supposed to be out of the depot. And we're gonna be moving down to the theater location if that's, as long as we can come to terms with John Ellis, which he's mentioned that it will be $600 a month lease. And we're expecting at least 8 months was the projected timeline. Initially, we thought we'd be out and then back in a couple of months as they remove the asbestos, but it's gonna be, they're gonna fence the whole thing and
Could you go back, because I'm like deep into digging into some stuff here.
Yeah,
600 a month for what?
for the space right next to the old theater.
OP Skaggs.
That you gotta pay.
Yeah, we're gonna rent that.
We're gonna rent
for
it,
City
yeah.
Hall while we're out here.
Something of ours for 200.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look,
And,
alright.
and the 600 is cheap. So,
Well, I imagine.
I hear you.
Being this isn't on the agenda, and we're discussing it, I think if each of us give an opinion and then authorize the clerk to make a decision,
So I talked to Franklin about that earlier. He said that if he changed his opinion, he would let me know, which he did not tell me anything different when he called me. So where the dollar amount is so low, it's not something that we have to move in the meeting. And so unless there's opposition, that's the direction we'll go.
Another thing is the grant that's restoring this will pay for the rental fees.
Yeah, so we'll use the funds that are coming from the state to pay that lease. It won't be coming out of the CDBG funds, but it will be the state funds that are available that we're using for both exterior and interior.
So it's actually not costing us, it's
Right.
coming out of the grant money.
Right.
Okay. Well, that's
So
what
it's
we,
coming out of the legislature money, correct?
yeah, it's,
The 2 million that was,
I guess it isn't really grant money, it's, but
Yeah,
it's, yeah, refurbishing money.
I think I already mentioned the mainline rate adder that has been removed from the bill. So hopefully everybody they will see that on this bill that's coming out. Linda reported to me today that she tested positive for COVID, so I'll be struggling to get through printing out bills and getting them out tomorrow to everybody. And let's see, what else? That's really it,
I
unless you have
didn't get that.
specific.
She reported to you that what?
She tested positive for COVID today. So, and then the last thing was the election has been canvassed, so congratulations to Councilman Rao and Councilman Laveri for still being here for another while. That's all I have, unless you
You're
got
stuck with
questions.
us.
Yep. You're stuck with me, I think is probably the more.
Anybody have any questions for city clerk? Okay,
Like I suggested a minute ago, we gotta make this decision before
we
the
need to
next,
do that in
before the
public
next
comment?
meeting.
The city clerk is entrusted to do that. The attorney has given him the rights to do that.
Okay, but does they want
Well, we can,
our opinions?
we can approve, well, we can do that in public comment. Can't we? Because it's not on the agenda for anything else, so.
Oh, but we can add it to our clerk's report.
Yeah, I guess we can.
Probably fine either way.
Whatever.
Yeah, if you have comments about it.
I trust you to make a good decision, Craig.
That's dangerous.
Got you the old fire hall for 200.
I didn't want that. Thanks, Joe.
What would the fire department charge you?
I guess, yeah. I guess to just for, I guess so that everybody's on the same page. So we had discussed potentially moving over to the new fire hall. George and I had talked about it. And there's some difficulties there with access to the room that we would be in and meetings that take place throughout the month and kind of the disruption that would potentially be there if citizens were coming in and out on the regular and they were trying to host meetings in that break room, because that would basically be the entryway to that office space back there. So we didn't really love that idea. And then the other option was the pool house. Mayor Rao and I went over and looked at that. It's also a possibility, but the space would be really small. The building is great, but the office space would be really tight. So that's why I elected to go down the road. I think it'll be more accessible to the citizens, and at the rate, I think it's probably worth using those funds to pay for that lease.
Okay. All right, Public Works Manager report.
Just, I think everybody has my report. Just wanted to cover that, the week of Thanksgiving, we had 3 days and we got trash done on Monday and Wednesday, and meters read, almost all read that week. We finished up the following week with meters. And the big push has been finishing the Christmas decorations. They just need to put the presents out on the ring to hold it down, the sandbags, and cover them with the presents at the flagpole, and we'll be done with Christmas decorations. So, does anybody have any questions for me outside of that?
When are you gonna make the announcement on who you hire?
Oh, yeah, thank you. On December 19th, Landon Boudreau will start as the new Public Works 1 employee. So, talk to him. Hope he's told his employer by now, so.
Okay, got one more question.
Yeah.
How many people, or are you doing everybody training them to do the job at the sewer plants and the water and all that, or are they?
So right now, Logan knows more than Raymond does, and so Logan has taken Raymond around and training him, showing him things. But I plan as Landon comes on to get him trained as well. We had Scholzen's meter sales rep here this week, and he sat down with me, Raymond, and Logan, and we went over some meter stuff and discussed issues we're having now, and some things that we might be able to do to help. So there was a little training session for all of us in that this week, so.
We do have a new panel and stuff coming for that. It's on order, right?
For the sewer ponds?
Yeah.
It's here.
Oh.
And I need, the way I'm feeling with things right now, I think I'm just going to get an electrician to wire it in for us rather than us try and handle it. There's too much going on without enough people here.
Yeah, we'll do that. Well, I just want to say that your guys have been busy at work. They are two busy guys, and the trash route has been going exceptionally well. I've seen a lot of good activity out of those guys, so we're seeing some good things.
The county's been a ton of help, continue to be a ton of help with us.
And I meant to say that the county has been a huge help. While we've been without a garbage truck, I hope we can send a letter to them or something to let them know how thankful we are for their help.
Okay, no questions for Grant? Legal issues.
Didn't give me anything to report for him, so.
Nothing to report? Okay, building inspectors report.
Everyone should have a copy of my report. I need to expand on a couple of things. Item G, Clover Creek Organics.
Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
A little better.
Clover Creek Organics is still having some issues with fire-rated walls, partition, dividing up that big 27,000 square foot building. Some of the stuff that they put in there does not meet code. We've been in discussions with their architect and with the owner's rep. I think we've got those solved, but I'm not going to issue a permit for any interior work until we're sure that we're not going to get in trouble with State Farm Marshal's office. So we're still waiting for the owner itself to make a decision on how he's going to do it. The other thing is on the apartment buildings, they still think they're going to be done by the end of this month. I don't think they will, because today I just found out that now they have to put a solar system in on the B building, which is the one next to the ravine. And there again, I'm not going to issue a permit for that solar system until they can have an architecture or a structural engineer tell me that that roof will hold up that system. That building's 50 years old. I want to be sure that somebody's on the hook if things go sour, not the city. So I will not issue a permit on that until we have that answered. And that's really all we've got. Unless somebody's got any questions. That's enough, trust me. I've been losing some sleep over this thing, but
Well, I think that's exactly right. We don't want to put the city in liability for any of that stuff,
No.
so. I don't know if they've gone through the power district to make sure that it's approved.
well,
Their
I've
sewer
been
system.
holding off on sending this stuff to the power district. I don't have a problem with the way this looks, and I don't think Dane or Kyle will either. That part of it's pretty simple,
Okay,
but if it goes up there and falls through the roof, that won't be the power company's problem, it'll be
exactly,
the city's.
exactly. All right. Appreciate your diligence on that. Any questions for building inspector? Okay, discussion of issues related to public safety, fire chief. What's that?
When's Dane's report in there? Dane Bradford.
So I'm not on this agenda. I was gonna be, and then I wasn't. And so I wanted to stop in, so you were having a meeting, but I plan on getting out in the second public comment.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
perfect.
I dropped a ball on the agenda there.
George? Yeah, I was, if it was a 2-month thing, figured we might work something out, but with it gonna be 8 months, it wouldn't be a good deal, I think, down there. It would disturb a lot of stuff going on. And with the pool out there, that's, it's not quite big enough, especially if we have to hire another person to be in the office out there, so. Anyway,
You see that our fire chief has shaved his beard. That means that his daughter has got a record book sheep now in the books.
okay. Council members' responsibility, Parks and Beautification, Mr. Fitzsimons, and he's not here tonight. Did he leave anything for you? Okay. Community Development and Planning, Councilman Rao.
I have nothing. No more planning commission meetings this week since the last meeting, or the last several meetings. So I have nothing.
Okay. Any questions? Tourism, Boxcar Museum, Mr. Leveri.
Only thing I have is, room tax meeting on December 5th, but I don't see the time on there.
Or off the top of my head, what time that is?
Usually they're 2
3:30.
o'clock, but what'd you say, Mary? 3?
3:30.
3:30? Yeah, don't say that on there. I believe it's for the, concert.
There's a couple of things. There's the concert, and then there's also, I got a request for the $1,500 donation that we did in years past for the Wreaths Across America.
Oh, yeah.
And we've run that through room tax. So he wanted to be on this agenda, and I was gonna put it on, and then I realized we've run that through room tax every time. So that will also be on that meeting, and then Wreaths Across America will be on the next city council meeting as well.
Okay, do we
That's
have
the next one.
anything else? That's it? Any questions for Joe? All right, public utilities.
I think I've made my comments, but thank them for their hard work and for the beauty of the city and the Christmas decorations.
What day is the lighting?
Third.
Third, okay.
Yep.
I don't know how they're doing that, if they're just gonna do this Christmas tree out here still, or,
That's what I've heard, is they're gonna do
Okay.
the tree. As far as I know, they may make an adjustment to that, but
yeah, we didn't put any lights up on the building because
Right.
we'd have to take them right back down.
Right.
So just the Christmas tree is all that, okay.
But they'll have their festivities and stuff here, right?
Oh, yeah, I don't.
I'm assuming that's,
unless they change it
Yeah.
between now and then.
well, when I was talking to them the other day, the way they talked, they were gonna have their stuff here, and,
Just not gonna be no permanent decorations.
yeah, yeah. Okay, mayor's report. The only thing I've got to report is I see the power district's been busy in town trimming trees and working. So that's, man, they've cut a lot of stuff in the last few days from what I've seen, especially behind my place. All right, nobody has any questions for me? Okay, public comment. Do we have any public comment?
Time to shine, Dane.
Speech.
Dane Bradfield, Lincoln County Power District.
Better turn that on.
Let him turn it on for you there.
I'll get you.
There you go.
Dane Bradfield, Lincoln County Power District. Thank you for allowing me to take a little bit of time tonight. As we mentioned a moment before, I have a presentation prepared to share with the City Council that is, kind of gives a little bit of background. I know that the purchase power adjustment rate has been a bit of a hot topic, not only in the city of Caliente, but countywide, and for us as well, which went into effect October 1st. And so when I get on the agenda, which I believe will be on the 15th meeting, that I will show up, and I will share that presentation with you and the members of the city of Caliente, which kind of gives a little bit of a background on what the situation is with power markets, how we've gotten forced in, and the prices and how they're escalating on the power market, and why we are having to buy power on the open market, and things that kind of triggers that have pushed us in that way, and a few things that we're trying to do to alleviate the strain of the open market prices. So yeah, if we can make sure that I can get on the agenda for the 15th, that I can share that presentation with you. Just a couple of small notes that I wanted to comment on tonight. One of them is just a small disclaimer on during Grant's topic of the purchase of the trailers. Grant is 100% correct. We did make an offer for the purchase of those trailers. That is in our capital budget for 2023. Our capital budget meeting got canceled in November, and so that will be December 13th. We are anticipating approval of that, but we can't say for sure on that purchase until that capital budget has been approved. But with a board member sitting here, I'm hoping that capital budget goes through well. I know that it's been a minute since I was able to speak with the City Council, and since that time, we have completed, as I'm sure you're aware, the line upgrade in the industrial section. The hardware is set, the cables are in. We just have not energized that pad mount switch that's sitting out there until there's something to energize it for. But it is ready to go whenever the city is ready to have that working. Some of the things I saw in Grant's report of a couple things that's been going on that Lincoln County Power has been doing in the city, and as you mentioned, Mayor, about the tree trimming. Of course, that is an ongoing thing that we try to keep ahead of because they can cause horrible problems for us when we get storms, and just trying to increase the resiliency and reliability of the system in the city of Caliente. And another thing that we've been able to do is we have an infrared camera that we go throughout the systems where we can monitor all of the connections in the system. We have completed our inspection of the city of Caliente, and so we prefer to do it in the colder months because the heat shows up better on loose connections or possibly problem connections. And so we monitor the connections on the high voltage lines and also up to the transformer connections. We typically don't have time to do all of the service drop connections on houses and things like that, but we were able to identify some potential problems. One of them was here behind the sidetrack, and we were able to remedy those before they caused an outage or became a problem. Yesterday, I sent Grant and Craig, and this is more of a housekeeping thing on the interlocal service agreement, but I sent a modification to Exhibit A, which is the designated representative for the city of Caliente. Dave Luttrell was the designated representative for Lincoln County Power, and where he is retired, and I'm in his place, I gave a written notice to the city to put me as the designated representative. And finally, as I'm kind of new in this role and new to attending the city councils, I would really like to hear from you gentlemen on what you would like from Lincoln County Power to make the most of the interlocal service agreement that we have. Any kind of presentations or information that we can share with you, I'm more than happy to do that. I know that the agreement says to be available for at least one of the city council meetings a month. I'm happy to make both of them if you gentlemen would feel that that'd be beneficial to yourselves or any other residents of Caliente. So please give me some feedback as we go through this. And that's all I have in public comment.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dane.
Thank you, Dane.
You gave them 2 weeks of mental preparation for what they want to tell you next time, so that was brave of you.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I was, I've been in meetings in Vegas today and just the timing worked out perfect for tonight's city council. So I wanted to come in and stop by anyway.
Appreciate you keeping your end of the deal at least and being here when I told you to.
Make Craig look bad.
It happens way too often.
Wasn't my intention, but it seems that's how it worked out.
I'll pay you back someday.
Other public comment? Okay, with hearing no other public comment, we need to schedule a date for our next agenda.
Yeah.
Next
so-
meeting?
So our next meeting is going to be December 15th, 6 PM. I've got several items on the agenda. The Wreaths Across America will be there. We've got Dane, who will give a presentation. I think I've got 3 other items, plus we're going to add the truck. So we'll have several items on that meeting.
Okay,
We'll meet at a different location.
We will be meeting at a different location. That's one of the benefits of the place we're gonna lease, is it's got quite a bit of space, so we will host our city council meetings in that space as well. How we're gonna do the IT work, I'm gonna be leaning pretty heavily on Joseph Lamb to get us set up over there. We should be able to have a camera and Zoom still. I don't know if it's gonna stream the same with YouTube and everything, but we'll get that squared away and it'll be out with the agenda when I post it. So.
Okay.
6 o'clock, same time, new place.
all right. Any other thing that needs to be on the agenda? If not, adjourn this meeting.